Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Today y Mañana. I'm Alex. This is Xavier. We're very excited to having you with us this morning on what started as a foggy morning here in Charlottesville, Virginia, but has turned into somewhat of a little warmish.
Yeah, beautiful. The sun came out, which is nice because there's been a few rainy days, so it's nice to see the sun again. That still exists, right?
Yep, exactly.
Warm up those old bones.
Hey, don't get the chill out of them.
At least
get the chill out of them. But as we were saying right before the show started, it's a perfect day if you are stuck in the fog to just
sit back,
relax, listen to some Today Mañana.
You got to get that cafe.
That café con leche and relax and watch some Today Mañana.
I don't want you to forget that. Because,
I know, it's very good. And what's the other thing? What's the other thing they need to do?
Like and share.
Like and share. Send us any comments or questions you may have this morning. All right. Thank you, Bill McChesney. He liked. Bill McChesney watching the show this morning. Thank you. He was ahead of you, Xavier. He was already liked. He was already liked in the show this morning. So thank you for watching Bill McChesney this morning on Today y Mañana. Of course, we're going to be joined very shortly in the show by Carolyn Herbert from Herbert's Wine Jelly, as well as later on by Nickolas Urpí, the CMO and research partner of Emergent Financial Services, to talk a little finance. Nick will be back on Today Mañana.
That's right.
And, of course, always love being here on the I Love CVille Network set. As always, we are presented by Emergent Financial Services and we're partnering with Aqua CVille Hand Car Wash with the Gym CVille, which we'll have some. We're going to be visiting the Gym CVille soon, and we'll put some footage there. You'll be able to see Justin go to work on at least me. I don't know who else is volunteering.
I thought you were going to say me. I said
no. I should volunteer you. I should volunteer you. He'll be like, you should do it. And me and at least one other Urpí, I would imagine. We haven't decided who wants to volunteer for that yet. But so that'll be happening soon. Of course, Castle Hill Cider, our Today Mañana Guest Appreciation event happening soon at Today Mañana.
Next week.
Next week?
Yeah.
Next week at the beautiful
Thursday.
Castle Hill Cider. And, of course, always partnering with our friends Miguel and Chick at Craddock Serious Insurance, and with Forward Adelante, the premier Latino networking group here in Charlottesville, Virginia. So I'm excited for today's show. So I know it's always fun to have Caroline on.
Jumping out of her seat, so it's going to be good.
So it's always fun to have her on, so I say we jump right into it. So let's welcome to the show this morning, Carolyn Herbert from Herbert's Wine Jelly. Caroline, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you back.
Thank you. Thanks.
So I know we've got definitely some new audience members. I see the new people that follow the page all the time. So for those who are new, tell us a little about what is Herbert's Wine Jelly.
Herbert's Wine Jelly started as kind of a mission. I was a special ed acting director for a while, and during that time, I worked with so many additional kids that had mental health issues, and the end result was always very negative once they were out in the real world. And I just realized that something has to happen with the adult population. Mm-hmm. So with that said, mental health is very, very prevalent. At this point, we're looking at more than half of the country has some type of a diagnosis of a mental health issue. Mm-hmm. It could be just the depression, it could be bipolar, it could be PTSD, it could be a random of things. But addressing it is a whole nother issue. So what we have done is, as a family, we took on the whole idea of saying, wait a minute, once someone is incarcerated, and many families know somebody who has been, let's take the incarcerated, bring them out, and have them able to do a job, be ready for them when they come out. Mm-hmm. And the readiness is what we focus on. We have the ability to work within some of the prisons, and while we do that, we ask guys that, and women who have been incarcerated for one reason or another, what they really want to do. How's this going to change their life? And it throws us into a whole mental health issue between struggling with mental health and coping with mental health.
Okay.
And the struggling means that when you come home, you have nothing. you don't know where to start.
Right.
Yeah.
You're really struggling. You don't have one piece that's really put together. The community services do a great job of getting you the driver's license and maybe a roof over your head and
Right.
some food, which is great, but it's more temporary. It's the job that puts you back into life.
Exactly.
So for us, we try very hard to find people who are ready to take that job step. We will, our products are actually developed by those who are inside. They come up with the ideas. We make the ideas. We save the profits for them. So when they come home to an envelope. And they have the opportunity to either take their product and run, do their own thing, or they can stay with us as a company.
Gotcha.
And we will continue to market and work and all. And then they come in as part of the company. Everybody comes in as a manager of whatever their assignment is. They don't have to continue being the cook, but it could be, if they want to be the driver, they're in charge of the distribution piece. So some of the, so that's how we look at some of the coping. We know that the suicide rates escalate tremendously around the holidays, especially
That's
this
true.
holiday. And so it's so important to look at the difference between struggling and coping. We talk about how we're helping people cope with mental health because we're helping them to secure some of the things that they would otherwise, they need control of.
Exactly.
They need control of an income. They need control of the financial piece. We teach financing. We train them how to move on to a better job if that's what they want. If they want a managerial position in a larger company, we give that training. So that's kind of the thing. But I'm very excited today to also talk about some of the things that the guys have come up with inside.
Absolutely.
This year-
Because I know every time we have you back, there's something new that the guys have come up with.
it's-
The guys and the gals have come up with.
Right.
their-
And that's amazing because the nice thing is like when you create something, I mean, as you mentioned, right? I mean, one thing is finding a job, but one thing is creating something that is now yours.
Right.
And now you're able to
You have a
then,
sense of ownership.
Exactly, a sense of ownership and creativity. And you can, like, as you said, you can either continue to work right with you in selling, establishing, making more, or go on your own. That's a good feeling. That's exactly what they need.
And that turns you into the coping. You're never going to be fully released from the mental health issues.
Right.
But if you can learn to cope even better than you were before,
Right.
improving that. So we strive in our company to look at coping with mental health as opposed to calling it the struggling.
The struggle.
Exactly.
Because the coping is a much more positive way of dealing with it. Could be therapy, it could be meds, it could be just knowing that you have something to really be proud of.
Well, and reinforcing the notion that it's not as though you have this thing you're struggling with, right? And it's your fault if it hasn't gone away. It's saying, well,
Right.
it may not go away. The question is, how do you live with it? How do you?
Right.
And you're not a bad person or a failure
Correct.
because you still have this issue. You're able to say, here's all the things you can do even with it.
That's
Correct.
Not saying you can't do any of these things until you're done with the struggle.
Exactly.
point.
Exactly.
So what are some of the
So,
amazing?
when I show products, keep in mind each one is developed by a different person. So I'm looking at people when we
Right.
look at different
Interesting.
ideas. So one of the sample boxes that we have put together this year, we haven't done actual basket gift kinds of things
Okay.
until this year. But new to us is some of our packaging because we've gone with the smaller jellies, we've included the salts, the peanut butter, everything in there in one kind of
Exactly.
thing. So
Good sampler.
I'm excited to say that our peanut butter Pat is now working as a manager of inventory at a rather large company in Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Wow.
So
Oh,
he
good
has
for him.
moved on
Good for
to a
him.
great piece. So we're all pitching in, and that's what we do. It's a
Exactly.
team effort. We all help each other, and we miss him dearly, but we certainly are thrilled for him.
Absolutely.
And that's the kind of exciting thing. So each person also came up with how they wanted to distribute them for Christmas. So we went to little cocoa bulbs.
That's really cute. I like that
Very
idea.
clever.
Isn't that fun?
That really is. Well,
Yes.
lift it up
Oh,
a little more.
higher. There we go.
So,
So you
but
put
they
that
come
on-
in
you
4
can put that
flavors.
on your
Put
tree
it on
and-
the tree, in a
Absolutely.
stocking, in a package, whatever works.
And
Yeah.
by the end of the season, it should be empty, though, right?
It should be.
Well, do you imagine?
But it doesn't
a
have
kid
to be.
would love that, though. Imagine your child comes down in the morning and they're on the tree. One of the ornaments is like your present. It's like some Toto. Which I mean, as a kid, you love Toto.
So, and they come in different flavors and such.
Even sometimes not as a kid, right?
That's what I was thinking. I said, wait, I must still be a kid.
When did that
So
stop?
we've put them into groups, and put them in bags. So you can buy them as sets.
That's a fabulous idea.
Online.
So somebody came up with that idea? I mean,
The cocoa person did.
The cocoa
the person
person.
who came up with the
that's very
cocoa
creative. That's
is
very
also
creative.
responsible for coming up with a way to present it.
To present it and sell
Mm-hmm.
it. That's a wonderful idea.
They've also done a 4-pack of these jars. So
Okay.
you have a little 4-pack of the little jars that are cute little apothecary
Nice.
jars.
Okay.
These, when we sell them at shows, these are individual. So you just buy, one at a
One
time. This is a box set, so it's
Gotcha.
easier for us to use online because that is easier to sell that way. The other thing that has really grown in interest is what we call it behind the fence or in and out. This is our prison artwork. And as an example, for our Christmas, we have a cross stitch that was done
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
just for this Christmas.
Right.
And then we will continue to have cards from now on. But this is one of our Christmas card selections, and it is cross stitched. So when we print it on linen paper, so it has that more textured
Oh,
look.
can you see that?
So you can see the more textured look.
Oh,
and then
absolutely.
on the back,
It looks like a cross stitch. That is fabulous. That's beautiful.
and then on the back, it has the initials of the person that did it.
That did it.
So what
That's
happens is when those are sold, 100% of the proceeds go to their family if they're still inside. So it's a little way of them sending us their artwork and us being
Exactly.
able to
Monetize
put
it
out-
for them.
Exactly.
And
So
prepare it for
even
their
if
families.
even if their family only gets $10, it's more than
Yeah.
what they could do otherwise.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
that's our Beyond the Fence, which is kind of its name keeps changing. But aside
The
from
name-
that,
Wait, the
and
name
just-
of what?
the business
Oh, the business.
the part
Okay.
of we call it Beyond the Fence right now because it's done inside and it comes outside the
Okay.
fence.
Okay.
It's just also beautiful that they're able to work on their creative
Yes.
side.
Yes.
Even
Exactly.
while it's not just, it stimulates the brain, it brings feelings of joy when you create. You're just able to, and then share it with others.
And we have colored pencil, we have charcoal ones, we have just a wide variety of artwork that's done on the inside that we then share on the outside. But I wanted to bring our Christmas special one today.
Absolutely. Yeah. And how many of these are produced, more or less? Of these cards?
We printed, I think it was 50 of these
Okay.
for Christmas.
Yeah.
And we have 2 left. But the other cards that we have a lot of cross stitch because there's several people that do the cross stitch inside. And those have all sold exceptionally well this year, so I'm super excited to send checks to families.
That's
Wonderful.
wonderful.
I'm really
that's
excited
terrific.
about that.
When I was looking at your site beforehand, you have a lot of beautiful ones. There's some animals.
And-
There's other ones that are very Christmassy. They may not be explicit, but you got the little robins on a
Exactly.
snow-covered bough.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
lots of ways that you do holiday cards, spring cards, birthday cards.
Yep. One of the birthday cards is my favorite because it is one that is a belated birthday card. So I actually buy them in bulk. And it's this poor little snail that has a dead balloon following him because he's too slow to get to the party.
Those
That's cute. That's cute.
true. In case those times you forget, you're like, oh dang, it was yesterday. Wasn't it?
Well, and for the guys that actually work with us, and I keep saying guys because right now we don't have any women. We will have very soon. So we do have some women that will be joining us before long. Then I can't call them all guys anymore. I'll have to figure out, I'll have to rework
Guys
my
and
speech.
Guys and girls.
Yeah.
Guys and gals.
But it's a fun way to be able to express yourself, be able to get that out, and be able to move forward with
Right.
Absolutely. I got
feeling good about yourself.
Got a lot of fans watching the show. Johnny Ornelas, amigo del programa, thanks for watching this morning. Elizabeth Miller watching the show this morning. So got a lot of people joining us to watch today. Which is fantastic. What other?
That's great.
Yeah, you got some other goodies
you got
here.
so many goodies. In
Yeah,
the
so-
holiday basket.
I saw some bourbon in there.
Did you? You saw it? It's right here in
That's
front.
exactly. That's
So this year we really went and got excited about our infused salts and peppers.
Right.
So we have infused salts, and we've infused them with wine, we've infused them with beer, and we've infused them with green pea wasabi.
Green pea
Ooh,
wasabi.
oh, that one's not-
So these are in
that's
here.
gonna be good.
And then we have our dips that we usually use in our, actually they're more seasoning mixes, but what we've been able to do is alter it just enough that it can be a rub, it can be a seasoning,
Okay.
or it can be a dip.
Oh, wow.
So any of those, and we have fiesta and bacon and different flavors that really bring something to it. The team also created a cookbook, which I didn't happen to bring today, but the cookbook has 44 pages of recipes and
Thank you,
suggested uses.
I remember, and there's so many different recipes in there. We have a copy
So-
that just you can do with it, and it's just amazing. So even with so in other words, the rub is such that if you mix it with like some sour cream, and you can turn it into a dip
Absolutely.
with something.
Absolutely.
Could you do like a marinade with
Yes,
it?
yes. Just put it with some oil and vinegar,
Oh.
and you've got a salad dressing with it. You know, you can
That's
make it
incredible.
anything. Our jellies, we actually can melt them and use them as a salad dressing. The Perapino Grigio is an amazing salad dressing on a dark green salad.
Pear Pinot Grigio?
Perapino Grigio.
Oh, wow. That sounds
And
good.
Good.
you know, does that mean you're going to grab the one out of here when you have an opportunity?
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. We'll get back to the office and we'll be
You
like,
can read my- you
"This
can
has
read
been
my eyes."
opened, and something's missing from this pot.
I don't know what happened. But all of our jellies are great with that. Or, you know, if you melt it just a little bit in the microwave to make it brushed as a glaze on something, your black cherry on your black cherry Cabernet Franc on a meatloaf changes it significantly from putting barbecue sauce or ketchup on it.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah,
like that.
a beautiful
You know.
I would like
flavor.
that.
Yeah.
Well, and the beautiful part is you have so many different flavors of the
Yeah.
wines is that you
We
can
do.
really be creative and think about, okay, what do I want to go with
Exactly.
And
this?
find one that you really like. too.
Exactly. What do
And
I
then say,
want to
"This
go
is
with this
what I
meat?
like."
Well, you can mix it up, right? You can be like, all right, today I'm feeling a little more tropical. Put something more tropical on my
Margarita.
meatloaf. You got the margarita.
There you
Sangria.
are.
Today I'm feeling a little more, fancy. Put the, what was the one with the
Pinot
Cabernet Franc?
Grigio.
Right, the black
The
cherry.
black cherry Cabernet Franc. I'm going to put that on today. I'm feeling a little fancier today.
The apple Merlot is really the most universal, if you
yep.
will, and the orange pineapple Chardonnay are both that. But we have the
Orange
apricot.
pineapple Chardonnay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's not be
But we have 14 flavors of jelly because that's what the
amazing.
person wanted to do.
Yeah.
See, so these are all driven by them. And
Yeah, these different people is one person.
well, one
actually
person
came-
does the jelly.
done
One
jellies.
person came up with the peanut butter.
Okay.
One person came up with the herb dips.
Wow.
And we communicated with each other while they were still on the inside. We communicated with each other through email because they weren't all at the same center. But when they came up
So
with
they give you the
recipes-
idea, and then you try it, and you keep
Yes.
putting it together until it's like, yeah, this looks good.
That
tastes good,
looks
and
good.
then
We sell it, and then we maintain the proceeds, not the proceeds, I'm sorry, the profits, for them.
For them.
And everything was
That's-
going back into the business for the ingredients
And
and
what
such.
creative minds
Yeah,
did that?
really.
I didn't
That's
realize
a
last
great-
year that one person thinks up
Okay.
all the flavors for the jellies. and
their
then one
product.
person thinks up all the.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. So the cocos, and then sometimes we have to cut them back a little bit, but we're looking at, 14 flavors of jelly is still kind of hard. But we really focus on the tropical during the summer. We
Right.
focus
Yeah, of
on
course.
the darker reds in the winter,
Yes.
et cetera. But we do variety packs and such as well. But one of the fun things to do at a holiday, I think, is when you have so many people there, you're trying to put something out that is easy for them to just have fun and snack on or something. If you have donut holes, you can get some donut holes. And you get some squirt bottles, like ketchup bottles. You can get them, for $1 at
Yeah.
Walmart. Melt your jelly just a little bit in it, so it'll squeeze out,
So squeeze out, yeah.
and you
And
fill
then
your donuts. So you take 3 or 4 different flavors and you put those out there, and then people can come and go
So making
fill in their donuts.
Your own jelly
Your
donuts.
own jelly
Wow.
donuts. I mean,
Imagine
having
me waking up to
a
that every
margarita jelly donut first thing in the
Oh.
morning, you know, I mean, that's not bad.
No.
Your strawberry daiquiri isn't bad either.
Oh, that sounds.
I got
you know.
to talk to my wife about this. She's got to wake up a little earlier now so I can make those donuts.
Well, even the donuts the donut holes are
That's
easy. You get the little, you get the
Oh,
ones
you
that
just
your
put
crescent
frying up,
roll
yeah.
donut ones that she uses.
Yeah, but
Yeah, or you go to Dunkin' Donuts and
Or
pick
the
up their
Dunkin'
minis.
Donuts, yeah, even easier. It's true. Just pick up the Dunkin' Donuts and go from there. That's amazing.
But a lot of fun things, you know, and it's interesting because people will take, you know, put a little something like the wine infused salt on a vegetable and take it somewhere, and
Yeah.
people are saying, "Wait a minute, what is that? It's different than usual."
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, it's
It
just a
does.
little
It
bit
changes the
different. It
flavor.
just
Yeah.
sneaks it in there.
Absolutely.
Well, the
When
steak
you're not
you
looking.
had given us last time you came on, the bourbon infused pepper.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's in there
That's a
again.
staple. Michael uses it, like I feel it's there every morning.
That's-
I think he
that's the
puts
fight
it on
part.
his eggs
He
every
does.
morning.
He said he did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because every morning I get up and like, there's his egg and there's the bourbon infused pepper. So it's become a staple of the Urpí household.
That's why I've been trying to hide it because it's like disappearing. I said he's eating too many eggs.
But
I
you
think.
know where I am.
I know. I certainly do.
I know.
So I got to send him to buy that.
We're online, and it can be picked up right here in Charlottesville at
Okay.
the plant store.
Oh, it's just so
That's
easy.
fabulous.
And
That's
so,
so easy.
and have you been finding? What are some of the things have you been finding people being especially creative in the holiday season? Like, are there certain things that in the holidays like people tend to buy more of, and are like, or that you're really excited about, saying, "Oh yeah, this is perfect for this time of year."
I think this year is the first year we've really had come out with some Christmas holiday gift sets.
Right.
So people have been more excited about buying all 4 flavors of the spices or all 4 flavors of the cocoa. And the cocoa is amazing if you actually put a little bit of the dark chocolate fudge into your chili. Not that people want to do that with their hot chocolate necessarily because they love hot chocolate, but you know, that's one
that
thing
little-
to put that dark chocolate into
like little
your
mole
chili
kinda.
and just kind of give it a little bit of a different flavor.
So
We've
what-
also
what-
used it
what-
as
what
this
are the,
one.
What are the 4 flavors?
This one is toffee coffee,
Okay.
toffee coffee cocoa.
Cocoa, okay,
so
gotcha.
we're talking about just a little bit of butterscotch toffee and a little bit of coffee in there.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice.
That's definitely my favorite. But we have the dark chocolate fudge.
Oh,
We have
That would be
the
my
dark
favorite.
chocolate raspberry.
oh.
And we have, of course, this one. And then we do peppermint.
Okay.
And
Oh,
in
so
the
you make your
early
own
fall,
peppermint
in the fall, we do pumpkin.
Ah.
So those are the
that
5 flavors
peppermint.
that we.
Oh, I'm seeing like the peppermint mocha. Like instead, don't bother.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
pay $5 to get like the fancy peppermint mocha. Like literally, just get the cocoa and
Get
make your
this
own
and-
ppermint mocha at
Absolutely.
home.
You know,
Yeah.
you've got it right there.
Yeah, you've got it right there.
And there's
Make
nothing
your
like
cocoa,
drinking fudge.
put-
I'm all for that.
Hey,
Dark chocolate fudge.
exactly.
I mean, how
What's
can
fun is we've also changed this recipe some, so it makes a summer drink. You can put it in the blender with ice, a cup of ice, and now you have a frappe, a chocolate frappe. So it's not just for the winter anymore.
Man, you guys are good.
So
So who's the marketing person for all behind this? Every single one of them? Is
every single one of them, actually.
Wow.
You know, we do
That's
have.
very good.
I will give kudos to my granddaughter, a senior in college, who does all of our Facebook and Instagram work. She is definitely much more apt for that than I am, and she's very consistent. She's amazing. You know, she's gonna. So we're so proud to have her on board. But our ideas come from wherever somebody thinks of it. Somebody will come and say, "Well, have you tried this? Have you put this peanut butter with something?" I think one of the greatest stories that I realized when we first started, we did not realize that you had to take the alcohol out. We thought it cooked out. It does not. Less than 10% of it cooks out.
Oh. I
So
didn't
all
know
of
that
those
either.
kids that have Italian mothers that cook with wine, or other mothers that cook with wine, you know, that's why their kids sleep so well, because they really, it did not all
No
come
wonder
out.
you guys slept so well.
I wonder.
So there you have it. So we had to come up with a method to take that out.
Take that out. Yep.
So that was a little bit difficult. I do have a son that's a molecular biologist, so that didn't hurt the family. And coming up with ways to do
handy.
that, it did come in very handy. So that did help with that. But we are right now, as far as the ABC knows, we're the only one approved to actually
to actually
make
do that.
wine jelly from the wine itself.
Wow.
Interesting.
You know, some people will sell wine jelly and it's the grapes only. It's not
Okay.
the fermented.
It's not fermented.
Okay.
So ours has the notes of the wine put back in it, which is where the flavor comes from, and then you get the wine flavor on the swallow,
Okay.
on the back end.
Right.
So
I mean, if there was enough alcohol, ABC would say you can't sell this?
exactly. When I first made it, I didn't realize that it wasn't saleable. So I sent it up to my son, and he was having peanut butter and stout sandwiches every day for lunch, and realized, I called him and I said, sorry, but you better stop having my stout sandwiches because it had the alcohol in it. So he was having his stout every day at lunch. So we do have stout and lager.
That's a great lunch. A little stout, peanut butter. You don't even know
Yeah.
you're having it.
I mean, that's it. So it was a little dangerous at first, but we rectified that real quickly.
Now, have you been working on any collaborations with other local businesses yet, or?
We do work with other businesses. We do make private labels for some of the vineyards around here. Castle Hill being one of them.
Oh, okay. Well,
And-
which one is that we should look forward to, or is it already?
Oh, they have they've used the ginger cider, so we have a pear ginger and an apricot ginger there.
Oh, okay.
So yep. So
Good
we're
to know.
looking to expand. I've talked to her. We're looking to expand to some of the other flavors, but those two were the ones that
That's
they started with the
fantastic.
ginger, which was very good.
That's really interesting.
And then we have the plant store, and you've had
Yep.
them on.
Well, they'll be on. They were at one of our events, and I think they're going to be coming on the show probably sometime in the new year. I think we've got it set
Okay.
up. Nick is working on our schedule.
Well, they actually, we will take packages. They will take packages from my house to their store, so people can pick up here in town.
Yep.
So that's a
Gotcha.
great way to do that. They
Absolutely.
also carry our products, but if you order something special that they don't have there, I think they have like a sample of everything, and then we can get it, and it's at the store for pickup. So that
Right.
makes it much easier up here, you know, because we're
Absolutely.
down a little bit further in Fluvanna County, so way down in Fluvanna County. But
Well, that's wonderful.
we
Just
do a lot of
knowing-
private events. We do weddings. We do the smaller jars or the 3-ounce jars. We'll do the jelly. We've done the salts for weddings. We have done
no
peanut
favors.
butters for some gift baskets for those that were coming and staying in a hotel for a conference.
Gotcha.
We've done some peanut butter for them.
yep.
But whatever they want or need, we will create it, size and
That's fantastic.
all, too.
Wow.
That is awesome.
so it's kind of fun. So we're
So you guys are
really working
busy.
on
Yeah.
we're really working on expanding
Right.
because as we know, inflation took a big hit with us too. You
Yep.
know, just to get
Everybody.
the ingredients, which is where it gets passed down. But we're expanding so we can gather greater
Sort of scale, and then you get
and scale.
with the
And-
economies of scale.
Exactly.
the less per item and the ingredient wise.
Correct. So we're looking at that, and you know, anything we can do along that line is really beneficial. There's several things that we need to do, and one of the things that we're looking at is becoming a nonprofit. So
okay.
we are looking at that
Which
very
is good, yes.
seriously. We've had a lot of our paperwork together. We're massaging it a bit, adding to it. I have an expert at nonprofits that's working with us. So we're hoping that will definitely launch in 2023. Not sure when,
Fantastic,
but we will be ready to do that. And this will be one prong of the funding streams
Of course.
to
Yeah.
help these guys and gals with mental health issues that need a job, that need to have more of a flexible schedule, that need to have
Exactly.
that, and understand that we can always work together. There's always a plan B. You know, there's always a plan B. And sometimes we have to find a plan C. We may not know what those plans are yet, but we will figure it out.
Yeah.
There isn't an obstacle that we can't do together.
Exactly.
You know,
That's
and
good.
that's one of the things that helps us cope again with the mental health issues.
Absolutely.
know.
And have you seen it in the? I'll bet you. I mean, I know you have. Have you? What are some of the things you've seen when people come out and they join, they stay on? Just
Yeah.
what is that? I guess for those who are out there thinking, all right, what does coping look like? What are some of the things you've seen when people are able to cope with and successfully cope with it?
First, when I believe that the majority of the people that I have met come home, they want to be an ostrich. They think
Yeah.
that they're just a bad person, and they need to get that fulfillment.
Yeah.
My team really doesn't necessarily like to be in front of everybody, because typically I go out and I say, well, I hire felons. You know, if you stand in the booth with me, somebody thinks you're probably a felon then, you know? Which isn't necessarily true, because I have family members that work with us, et cetera, et cetera. But, so they don't necessarily like to be the face. But then you see just the confidence in them. They're more willing to talk to people. Typically, if we're at a show and one of the guys happened to be with me, one of them was willing to just open up and start talking about the situation to the person in the next booth when we had time to chat. You see that, you know, ownership of what it was.
That's what it is.
And when you own it, you no longer carry it as baggage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and it's that release, it's that feeling. And, you know, we can see, yes, I work for Herbert's, you know, and it becomes more and more of a positive thing.
Exactly.
It's no longer who you are. Like, it's something that happened,
Right.
right? It's
It
not that
is
it
your
never happened,
past.
but who you are now
Right,
is...
right.
You're redeveloping,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
You're
And when
you're-
you are a
you're-
manager, so my manager of distribution, he has to give me a report every month when we have our monthly meeting. We invite the POs to it. We're wide open. We are
Yeah.
not, you know, we're very transparent. And, yeah, I think that it's so important for everybody to know that everybody's allowed to talk about it.
Yeah.
And everybody's restrictions may be different on parole, but that's okay. We deal with them.
Yeah.
You know,
This-
it's
That's beautiful to know
That's
that you're supporting something that provides people such hope and confidence. And for those who are out there thinking, I think there is hope. Like,
Yeah.
you can actually successfully cope.
one of the things that I think is the most rewarding to me, and I know it sounds funny, but I'm so proud of my fan club. My fan club is at Petersburg Low Regional Prison. It's a federal prison right there in Hopewell. And those guys will call me before every show and wish us luck. And how are you doing? And how's it going?
That's so awesome.
They know that they're not necessarily coming back to this area, so I won't necessarily be able to be helping them.
Right.
But they know now that there are people out here who are willing
Yeah.
to do things like this.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's finding those people, it's connecting. And I think that through a nonprofit, I will be able to connect with more of those people to help them find a place
Exactly.
wherever they go when they go home. That's really kind of my goal.
That's a beautiful thing.
That's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing.
It
That's
really is.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So, Caroline, before I let you go, people want to support, people want to get some gift baskets and so forth. What are the ways that people can find the products and get them for their loved ones?
The easiest way is online to my website.
Okay.
If you don't see what you like and you know you want a mixture of products, you pick up the phone and you call me.
It's that easy.
757-870-8085. And basically, you know, we will put it together. I can't always answer the phone, but I will get back to you if you leave a message.
Okay.
And if you want a box put together, you know, how much do you want? Or do you want to spend X amount? It's okay, because we are, you know, my house is my distribution center right now. My grandson's room has shelving all the way around. There's a little bed in the middle. And he says it's great, because if he gets hungry, he's fine.
There you go.
There's plenty in there for him to eat.
Tons of midnight
Like
snacks.
hot cocoa in the middle of midnight.
Exactly. Or, you know, find an open jar of peanut butter.
There you are.
You know,
There
your
you go.
caramel delight, caramel chocolate peanut butter is sitting there open.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, you know, that's fine. But even our family, everybody has to work for what you're given, and I believe that is so true, even with guys and gals coming home. You know, if you haven't worked for what you're given, then it doesn't mean as much to you.
Yeah.
And my grandson
It's a
knows
sense
that
of
he has to
purpose.
put stickers on, or he has to, you know, do certain things, this and that. He's part of the process for sure. So's my granddaughter. Well, I mentioned one granddaughter, and the
Yep.
other one is the same way.
that's
Everybody
funny.
pitches in. Everybody pitches in.
That's
But
beautiful.
and they get paid for it. You know,
That's
that's how
beautiful.
they
That's
make their
wonderful.
money.
I mean, so many things. A
I don't
family
care how-
business, a soon-to-be nonprofit, a mission.
A mission.
Just so much.
All of
that
this
goes
has
into
started
it.
with the mission.
Yeah.
And, those who need help and need to talk to somebody this time of year, we recommend that, you find your local community resources and call and get through it, because it is about coping.
Exactly.
It is. Caroline, it's been a
it's been a
pleasure,
pleasure.
as
Absolute-
always.
a genuine
Definitely
pleasure.
encourage everyone, herbertswinejelly.com and then 757-870-8085.
Correct.
Direct
Correct.
line. to
Direct
Carolyn.
line,
Direct line to me.
there for if you want something special put
Exactly.
together for your loved ones. Then thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you.
Thank you very much, Carolyn.
Thanks.
That's fantastic.
And all our best wishes in the holidays,
Oh,
of course,
same
as
to
we
you.
enter the
Merry
season.
Christmas.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Happy New Year. We'll see you next week.
Yes, indeed. See you next week. See you next
You
week.
said Castle Hill.
Yep, at Castle Hill.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just
That
always
was
loved.
inspirational.
It is. It truly is. Because and it's just the thought that when you're enjoying these fantastic products that
Yeah.
you're supporting, like you said, the mission.
Yeah.
You're supporting the mission.
And I had no
people.
idea, to be honest with you. I mean, I wasn't part
Well,
of the first show, so I had no clue
Oh
that
yeah,
this was
your
part of it.
Yeah, this is.
So, I mean, that's amazing that this is all part of kind of like a mission.
that one mission,
Caroline
and
had,
that
yeah.
and that these guys
I mean, that's
think
that's,
these things themselves.
yeah.
It's just creative
Well, it
minds
goes to
be
show
able
you
to put that
sometimes
to a
life,
beautiful purpose.
You have challenges in life, you stumble,
Yeah.
right? Things happen that shouldn't have, and you realize you made a mistake, but you have a way out, and
Yeah.
you realize that you have something to offer the world, right? Your community or whatever. And this is a fabulous way, very creative way.
It is.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Well, from one fantastic guest to another, am I allowed to say that?
Of course you
Okay,
are.
okay.
Of course you are.
To another, we're excited
Not
to.
as fantastic.
Maybe not as
Not as
fantastic as
fantastic.
Caroline.
absolutely.
Slightly
Always been.
less.
But we are very happy to welcome to the show this morning Nickolas Urpí. He is the CMO and research partner at Emergent Financial Services.
Well, thank you for having
morning,
me on.
Nicholas.
Good
Morning, Nicholas. Good to see you.
I'm hungry now after all the talk. Hey,
One is a little hot water. Put
one of the
that
things I
stuff.
thought of right when Caroline was talking about the rubs and all that is that so my wife Elizabeth likes to do an instant pot chicken, which is an easy way to like just throw, like dinner is made in the morning, 10 hours, you just leave it alone, and then we come, I'll come home and she can take care of everything else. I'm like, wouldn't it be great if you just like bourbon peppered the chicken, throw it in an instant pot for 10 hours and take it out,
There
so
you
I was
go.
like, I'm already like thinking, we need some
You're
some
already
wine
planning.
jelly
When you said
product.
rub, I was thinking of massage. I was saying,
know,
yeah,
I-
it's
yeah.
massage.
Well, I mean,
like
the
that.
chicken's getting a massage.
I know,
not you.
really.
So, Nicholas, I know every time we have you on, we talk a little finance. A lot of things going on,
A lot of
gentlemen,
things going on,
in the finance world. Tons of. I feel like every day, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers, there's something new in the finance news. You're like, what does this mean? Is this
Well,
good? Is this bad?
Well, Xavier gave me the daunting task of finding out what the GDP for the Atlanta Fed is.
Well, only because this has been a crazy year, right? The first 2 quarters of this year were negative, therefore we were literally in a recession, right?
Correct.
Then these last 2 quarters have done much
Well,
better.
the third quarter.
Third
To be fair,
quarter,
we-
right? And this
We
fourth
don't know
quarter
what the
is-
fourth quarter
yeah,
number
I
is.
mean,
We're about to find out what the
once you
fourth
tell
quarter
me this, I
projection
can
is.
finish.
The estimate projection right now is 3.4, up from
3.4.
2.8, but all the blue chip, their blue chip, like what the investors are estimating, on the economists are estimating, it's much lower than that. It's like a
Yeah.
full percent lower. But that's what the
So-
Atlanta
so
Fed
the
is right
issue-
now.
The issue that I have,
estimating
like, I
3.4.
mean, you struggle with, I mean, what's happened in the last 2 years is just historical because things haven't gone the way that one would expect from a, economics 101, right? So you have, as I mentioned, you had a recession the first half of this year. Now you have an economy that's doing
Yeah.
reasonably well, right?
Right.
2.8 and 3. If it was 3.4 for sure, that's a good economy, right? And now we're all talking about, I mean, you just read it left and right. Who was predicting a possibly slowdown, a recession in 2023? And you're saying, wait a minute. We had literally a recession in 2020. We came out of it in 2021. We had another recession the first half of 2022. We came out at the end of 2022.
And
We're
now you're
having one in
talking,
2023.
potential recession
I mean,
in 2023.
these are
this
not
is-
business cycles anymore. I
Yeah,
mean, these are-
that's what's the strange part and the concerning part is just the business cycle does not operate this way.
No, it doesn't.
The business cycle doesn't have 6 months recession, growth. 6 months recession, growth. It just, there are other things. There's so many things at play that are unusual in this cycle.
Well, and there are, and we know what they are. And the question is, are we going to continue down that path, or will we someday say we can no longer do this? We need to go back to a more traditional way of, running our economy, right? Because we went from, pushing rates down to zero, giving money out, stimulus money out left and right? So you created a scenario where, without any doubt, you had inflation waiting to happen, right? You had overspending waiting to happen, and then you had the supply side chain, which nobody really expected, right? Because all of a sudden COVID came, everybody thought, okay, we got the vaccine, so we'll be good to go.
Well, the response to COVID itself kind of generates, you're talking, what was it, 3 giant stimulus packages?
Yes.
The last of which came in 2021. So think about, if you think about the classic definition of inflation, which is too much money chasing too few goods, you already knew by mid-2020 there's too few goods.
Yeah.
So
nobody could make anything.
It's not a shocker that when you put a bunch of money into the system, $4 trillion on the fiscal side, and then however many more dollars you count by the Fed dropping rates to zero, right? Because when they do that, they're creating money, even if it doesn't. Even there's no dollar amount that you attach to it. You're pulling rates all the way down to zero, trying to spur expansionary monetary policy. So you're doing all these things. It's not a shocker that
in
too
addition
much
to
money,
the fact
too
that
few goods.
in addition to the fact that you're in a situation where you have all this money and you say, what can I do with it? Oh, can I travel? No, you can't travel because there's like a million bans, and who wants to go to a restaurant? Who wants to go to a hotel during this time period, right? So all of a sudden it's like, I can't do any of that fun stuff, so I might as well buy things. Now you're buying things, it's like, well, we can't get that product from A to B. One, we're not getting it from Europe or China, wherever we get all these products from sometimes, right? And then 2, they're sitting in the port, but we can't get them out of the port because we don't have enough truckers. So, it just created a nightmare, right, where inflation just took off, right?
What I love is bizarre. It's just absolutely is Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, had said that inflation is caused by it was caused by the consumers because they just spent too much money, and part of it was they gave you the stimulus out, that was the government basically gave them money to spend to keep the economy rolling, and they complained and then blamed them for spending the money, and it's sort of like you live in a world. It's bizarre to just look at the structure and be like,
there's inflation,
no self-awareness.
It's Alice in Wonderland world.
Yeah, it is. It's sort of like it's your fault for the stuff that they did, or they're like, yeah, do this. It'll help the economy if you spend the stimulus. And then you go and you do that, and they're like, well, why did you do that?
So the point being, we're in a situation now where the Fed's come in.
Yeah.
It's raised rates faster than we've seen historically, right? We went from, the 10-year, literally a 10-year at the end of December of last year was about 1.2, 1.3. Right, we went as high as 4.3 at the end of October, right? It's gone down 1% since then, right? We had oil prices skyrocket. So you sit there, you go, now the Fed is trying to raise rates in order to slow down, quote unquote, inflation, which was caused by not really an economic boom, but just by the fact that we had all this extra money and people didn't know what to do with it other than buy things.
It's important for people to keep in mind the economy is not yet back.
No.
To pre-2020 levels. So it's not as though we had the 2020 recession caused by COVID, and now suddenly we're 10% bigger than we were in 2019, and there's just a boom, and that's what it is. We're not. I think we might have just crossed the same employment level that we were at in 2019. So in other words, this is not a scenario. That's what makes it so strange.
Just to clarify, when you say the employment level, are you talking about the employment rate, or are you talking about the number of people employed?
Number.
Okay, gotcha. Good, yeah.
Number. The rate changes all the time.
Just to clarify for the audience, I know what you're talking about, but still.
Yeah. So it's not as though you have a runaway economy. It's it's growing at gangbusters.
Right.
We're not even back.
No.
From the last recession.
No.
We're trying to fight inflation, right? And in fighting inflation, the risk is that we overdo it, and that we cause another recession, right? Which, is it what they want? Do we want a recession so therefore prices come down dramatically? That's not necessarily good.
It's not the ideal way
So in other words,
for
we
prices
sit
to
here,
come down.
exactly, so we sit here as investors and say, you know, where do we go from here? In other words, if we create a recession, right, is that good or bad for the stock market, right? What happens to bonds then? I mean, we're beginning to see the bond market is usually the best indicator of what's going on. And you've seen rates come down, which is telling you or us that, you know, things are going to slow down in the future. That's what's happening. Short-term rates have gone up, long-term rates are coming down. Inverted yield curve tells you, yes, most likely you're going to get some kind of slowdown or possible recession. But
And
it's
explain to, 'cause I bet you people turn on and they see inverted yield curve a lot. Like because every time the yield curve
What is
inverts, people are like, well, you see the talking heads, they'll be like, you know, the yield curve is inverted, this could be a recession. What is it? What does that mean? Like, what is an inverted yield curve and why does that often signal recession?
So an inverted yield curve is when short-term rates, meaning a 3-month, a 6-month, a 1-year instrument security, is giving you more interest than a longer-term rate. And of course, you think about it, it should be the opposite, because if you're going to lend money to somebody for 10 years, you have until 10 years that they pay you back. There's a bigger risk there, so you want them to pay you a higher interest rate. If you lend somebody for 3 months, $100, and you say, just measly interest rate because in 3 months I get my money back, right? So I don't have that risk that something happens to you, right? So that's typically that's called a positively sloped yield curve. In other words, short-term rates are very low, longer-term rates are higher, right? So what happens when you have an inverted yield curve means that somebody is forcing short-term rates to go up. However, the market is saying, I'm looking ahead, and in reality, there's absolutely no reason why rates should be high. And therefore, I am willing to invest long-term today, because if I am right and you have a recession, the Fed is going to have to reverse its course,
and lower
bring
rates.
short-term rates down, and I want to lock in on those higher rates that I see today, because if I see 4% today for a 10-year, right, and I think it's going to go down, I want to lock it in today. And so that's what happens.
So basically, it's bond market investors having a negative sentiment about the future. Basically,
Exactly.
they're saying is, I don't care what interest rates, I don't care that the short-term rate of today is high. I am worried about the future. Therefore, I'm going to take whatever rate. So you end up, of course, when everyone goes to buy those bonds, it goes down.
Exactly. And so that's what's happening today. And so again, that is kind of a prediction of we may see a recession. And again, everybody. There's a zillion economists out there, so you can find half of the economists say one thing, the other half say something else. Obviously, all the big ones get on TV and get published, et cetera, and they're all talking about recession. But what I always find interesting, recently reading all these articles about what kind of landing are we going to have? Soft landing, hard landing. And landing means we have a booming economy, so we had a booming economy maybe for 2 quarters. We have a booming economy. We're trying to slow it down. Is it going to crash? In other words, it's just going to boom, stop quickly, create big recession, or is it going to be nice and slow? It's going to come down slowly, and then perfect.
That assumes we're even
Fed
in the
stops,
air.
and then it keeps going up, right? So I'm sitting there going, we've had 2 months of, 2 quarters, possibly 2 quarters, and we're talking about a landing. To me, it's going to be more of a kind of a mushy kind of thing landing. In other words, the way I look at it is one of 2 things are going to happen. It's like, think of yourself throwing yourself off a 2nd-story balcony, and down there you have on one side mattresses, on the other side concrete. And you're going to throw yourself, and half of you is going to fall on a mattress, and the other half is going to fall on concrete. So you're going to have broken bones on half of your body, and the other half of your body is going to be good. That's what's going to happen, because it's not a normal situation. So some part of the economy is going to crash and hurt badly, and the other part is going to say, hey, things are
recession?
doing well.
What recession?
Yeah. That's exactly what's going to happen.
And that's important for people to keep in mind is there's a gut assumption always, right? Recession means stock market crashes. Right. There are plenty of examples of periods where the economy is not doing too well and the stock market does gangbusters. We just came out of one. So basically 2010 to 2017 is the economy is growing at an anemic pace and the stock market is doubling.
Well, that was free money
Right.
from the Fed, though. Don't forget.
But is that what I'm saying?
Right,
There are
right.
the key thing is to remember, there are other factors that impact
Exactly.
the performance of the stock market beyond the state of the economy. So you can't, as much as, granted, right, there is an impact. We're not saying that the stock market can't go down when there's a recession. It often does, right?
Right.
But we're no longer in a place where you can make that assumption, because you're sitting here looking at a negative stock market for 2022, and you're like, is there more downside next year? Does it do the opposite of what we expect? Does it do exactly what we expect? Is it somewhere in the middle where you're like, oh, well, it wasn't a terrible stock market, but it wasn't as good as I would have wanted either. It just, you can't, we're beyond the point of making assumptions, because we're looking at data in a scenario that we really haven't seen before. I mean, when was the last time in your memory, I don't think it's happened in my lifetime, unless it happened in the 90s when I wouldn't have been paying attention. Certainly not in my conscious awareness lifetime, right? That you have a year in which the stock market crashes and bonds also crash. Usually, anyone that would have gone to Economics 101 in the last 10 years would have been taught by their professor, when the stocks go down, bonds go up.
Yeah.
And yet we're sitting in a
Yeah.
year in which they both went down a lot.
Yeah, I mean, so the last time, and I don't remember, since I was a bond guy, I don't remember the stock market that well. But 1994 is when you had, the mortgage crisis back
Right.
then.
So basically, when I was 2.
Yeah. So back then, it's possible that the stock market was going up, although typically that won't happen either, because again, it was a mortgage crisis. So, but yeah, I mean, since the 1970s. Interest rates have been coming down. There's been blips, where, for a year or two, it goes up, 1 or 2%. But again, as I always mention, even back in the 70s, you went from 6% to 15% to 12%. But you had 6% interest already accumulating in your portfolio. So even if it went down up to 12%, you're just breaking even. You gained 6 and lost 6. You're breaking even, basically, right?
Right.
I mean, obviously, that's not true mathematically completely, but from the perspective of, you're not hurting as bad. We now went from 0 to 4. 0, there's no interest. You're not earning anything. So you went to 4, you're hurting badly because those bonds have gone down in price, right?
Right.
And so it's the first year, in my memory too, where you had a bond market. If you look at the bond market as a whole, it's down about 12 or 13%, right? That's a big chunk. That's huge, right? You don't think of bonds going down 12, 13% as a whole. And you have the stock market going down about 13% if you look at the S&P 500, more some other indices. So, of course, portfolios, when you sit there, you go, the anchor to windward, the protection part is down 12%, and the part that's supposed to grow is down 12%. The whole portfolio is down 12%, right?
Right.
And what do you see in the impact on people? I know you work with people, you worked on financial, but the impact on people, I know you've been thinking about lately.
Well, it's kind of funny because our conversation steered away from that. But if you're going to bring it back to inflation, the idea was that what hurts the most.
The reason I say it is because portfolios is an impact that begins people see it in their 401ks and their savings, and you've been looking at that.
It wasn't not necessarily that. What we were looking at was how does inflation affect all this sort of like the different income groups from lowest to highest. And it turns out, and of course, one of the things that they found surprisingly enough is that it doesn't vary. So a high income household will spend if a low income household is spending 2% more on groceries, it's pretty certain that also the highest income will also be spending roughly 2% more on groceries.
In other words, the rich aren't buying groceries that are going up at a faster rate of inflation.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not eating different foods.
Yes,
that
they are
have
not eating. Even whatever the case may be, their foods are appreciating at the same level, and it happens across every single good. Like the amount more that you're going to pay than what your lifestyle is going to be is roughly the same, which most of the researchers were shocked to find out.
Which kind of makes sense.
It kind of makes sense to me.
If eggs are going up 10%, it's not as though
the high quality eggs are not going up in price.
That rich people eat go up 20%, and like low quality
duck eggs are also going up,
Yeah.
or whatever it is. Quail eggs that rich people, whatever it is that the highest income
non-chicken
will buy.
eggs.
They'll
Tofu
spend the
eggs.
same amount on like those tiny quail eggs, But it turns out that the one thing that does get affected is savings. High income groups continue to save, and the low income groups do not, and that's really the key difference. It's not a matter of them saving less. There comes a point where if inflation kicks in, they hold back from saving at all. It's not even just a slight decrease.
Yeah, they're afraid because they're afraid they're going to need that.
The average person, right? The average person, if you started off with 2% disposable income that you would put into savings, right? It's done.
Yeah.
Inflation has wiped it away. You're just trying to make ends meet. You can no longer save.
Or they're too afraid because checking accounts are up. So that's the thing is, I read there was it was an investor. I'm sorry, I was going to say professor. It was an investor, and he was showing the graphs. Most checking accounts throughout the country are still elevated from the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Like that money wasn't spent. There was like a huge accumulation in checking accounts and saving accounts in the U.S. That money isn't even fully gone yet. Like there was like an explosion. It wasn't just 2,000 from the stimulus. It was people they weren't going out.
You couldn't do anything.
And a lot of people did continue to work from home. So it was one of those things that checking accounts grew, but now people are pulling the brakes on saving that money at all. It's sitting in their checking account. It's sitting in their savings account.
In other words, they sit there, they got all this money, and they say, I should save it. Then they look at the market and say, the market's down 10%. Yeah. So in other words, if I need this money next year and it's down 10%, I'm going to be kicking myself, right?
Yep.
So that it's, again, everything that's happened is from a psychological point of view. You sit there and you go, I'm spending more on groceries. I don't know what inflation is going to be next year. I might be spending more also on groceries and everything else that I buy. So I'm going to need more money. And on the other end, I could invest it, but wow, what if I lose 10%?
Yeah.
Well, because part of it is sort of like, are they more willing to lose 10% in the stock market or 6% from inflation or whatever the case may be?
Because the sad part by it's sitting in cash, hence the big impact of inflation is just losing purchasing power.
Well, and that's the sad part is that, it's also part of the spread. Like the eggs are getting more expensive, but the dollar is getting less. They're pulling away from each other. And I mean, in a sort of sad way, the thought process is this is a bad time to get in the market. And in reality, there has been no safety. Gold has not been a safety. Crypto has not been a safety.
Really?
Yeah. No. Well, it hasn't. Everyone was assuming.
Crypto's been the opposite. Of
yeah. Well, that's the whole point.
That was the whole point. The whole point is that I think part of the reason gold didn't do as well during the inflationary cycle was because a lot of people expect that the crypto was the new gold, right?
Right.
And I literally, I told this, as you know, to tons of people.
We talked about this earlier this year.
Crypto is brand new. It's never gone through an inflationary cycle. You don't know how it's going to react. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't put my money there as an anti-inflationary, right?
Yeah.
And boom, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it's just, and I think the key point, the key takeaway is, you can't let fear drive your decisions sometimes. Right. You know what I mean? And obviously it's different if you have no savings, right? But
of course,
if at some point you have to sit there and say, we see all the time, you have to take a little risk to get the return, right?
The market's down, again, 13 to 20% depending where. If you're looking to buy a car, this is your dream car, a Corvette or whatever it is you like, and it was,
down 20%.
It's $100,000 last year. Now it's $80,000. You say, that's my dream car, and now I can afford it. Wouldn't you buy it? So the answer is, if you have money to invest, it's probably not a bad time to put some money. Does that mean the market can't go down another 10, 15? No. But it's down 15% from its highs or more. It's not a bad time to say, maybe I start putting some more money into my savings for the future.
Well, that's why it's also a good idea to just keep an eye on your budgeting, because then you can see actually I can survive off of X, and this little bit Y I can put in the market or save or put to retirement, put to college education. Because the last thing we want is the effects of the after effects of the pandemic and the stock market of 2022 to create an entire generation of people who can't retire because they haven't saved because they were too afraid.
You don't want the Mr. Potter effect that I
everyone's
that Mr. Potter is not the rich
not
aren't selling, they're buying.
Yeah, well, that's
we're not
exactly
buying,
what's
we're
happening.
selling because we're panicking and they're not.
Yeah.
Perfect time. And
Perfect time. I mean,
A
if you
Wonderful
haven't
Life,
watched It's a
December.
Wonderful Life yet this holiday season, it's coming up.
I will,
You need
we
to-
will, we
You
will.
need to watch it
Some
sometime
cocoa,
before Christmas.
peppermint cocoa.
Take your peppermint cocoa,
Peppermint
Herbert's wine jelly,
Yeah.
and sit down and watch It's a Wonderful Life. And when you see the scene where Jimmy Stewart says, "Mr. Potter's not selling, he's buying,"
You can think
you'll
about
think
it.
of me.
Yeah.
That's right.
You'll think of me. Perfect. That's everybody's homework for the holiday season.
Is to
To
think
watch
of
that
you,
movie.
yeah.
Watch
No,
the
to watch
movie.
the movie and think of me when Jimmy Stewart says that line.
Well,
that-
thank you,
well,
Nicholas. Thank you
thanks
so
for
much.
coming on, and as always, you
That's
spur
right,
thoughts.
Inspiring,
Oh, thank you.
inspiring
Yeah.
thoughts.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad I contributed so much.
You do-
Well, that's what you do every week, right? You always
do,
come
yeah.
up with some idea, and we have to like get those brain cells working. And it's like, wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah, you expected me to trick you. I'll do that next time.
No, he was actually pretty nice this time. He didn't have a trivia
Yeah.
question for us. It was
Next time.
next time. When the Christmas special comes,
Yeah, the
we'll probably
Christmas
have
special,
a bunch
I'll
of
probably like do what we did last year. Yeah, we'll
trivia
do
questions.
Christmas trivia.
Oh boy,
All
boy!
right.
I have to prepare myself. So as always fun to have you on. A couple news items I happened to see. So CIC, just of course Carolyn. Last time she was on, told us she's worked with CIC in the past as well.
Right.
Do a great job helping a lot of people start their small businesses. If you're interested in becoming an entrepreneur, or you already are one and just want to know, hey, I need some help starting my business. I have an idea. I'm not sure this is the way to go. I really want to learn how to be an entrepreneur. Their entrepreneur workshop is open now. The applications are open
Okay.
through January 17th. So until January 17th, you can apply. So I'd really encourage you to apply to the CIC workshop, 16-week workshop. It's on Tuesday evenings. I think it's usually 6 to 8, right? The work groups, the people that go through, we saw them at the CIC 10
Right.
event. People that go through these workshops, like you will meet colleagues, friends, mentors, people you can share
it's a
ideas
network
with.
event.
It's a
I mean,
network.
it's perfect for it.
Right? It's educational opportunity. There's just so much. So really, if you are interested in truly pursuing being an entrepreneur, it's a huge opportunity. So I would encourage people to check it out, cicville.org/entrepreneur-workshop. So just remember Entrepreneur Workshop. If you go to cicville.org, you can also get that. You can navigate your way to it. But if you want to go straight to it, /entrepreneur-workshop. Definitely wanted to talk about that. Next week, I think we have a trifecta of guests. If I was reading correctly, we have Jeff Camrath coming back from Aqua
Okay,
CVille
Jeff,
Network.
absolutely.
It'll be good to have Jeff back. Amanda Beckwith from Lead Blender is going to be coming on, as well
No,
as
lead blender of Courage and Conviction Distillery.
Lead Blender. Thank you. Oh, see, this is why it's good to have the master on. It's the Lead Blender at Courage and Conviction Distillery, as well as Jay Berger, I guess, or Burdett, from Sound Around CVille. It will be coming on. So 3
Fabulous.
fantastic
Wow.
guests joining
We'll
us
be
next
busy.
week.
Yeah, it's
So,
going to be fun. Yeah.
It'll be
And then that night we have the.
and that night, of course, the Today
event.
Mañana event at Castle Hill Cider. It's
gonna be a fun day.
Facebook, people can find that.
Yes, you can find it on Facebook and Eventbrite. You just go to Today Mañana, look up the events. It's free to come and at Castle Hill from 5:30 to 7.
Is there going to be a
There might be.
special flight
There might be a
from Castle
special
Hill?
flight from Josephine. If she can do it, she's gonna make it happen. Last time that was a hit, so
It was.
Oh, it
yeah,
was.
everyone
It
was
was.
coming out with these little flights
So
and
she'll come up with
cocktails.
some kind of Christmassy thing.
Oh yeah, and their food will be complimentary. So there's going to be a whole
Wonderful.
spread and a lot of
Is there a
Christmas
reason
cheer.
not to come?
I
No.
can't think of one. So
Neither can I. Neither
Yes.
can I. So today, Mañana event next Thursday
next Thursday, December 15th at 5:30 p.m.
at Castle Hill Cider.
at Castle Hill Cider.
So join us there. Join us there. Find it on Facebook and Eventbrite.
Yes,
You can
that's
find
correct.
it. Nick, thanks so much
Thank you for
coming
having
on.
me.
Thanks so much for hosting with me, Xavier.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure as always.
Always a pleasure. Thank you to everyone who watched the show today, who liked and shared. Definitely appreciate all our regulars that were on with us this morning. And just, of course, always thank you to Emergent Financial Services for presenting us, as well as to our partners at Craddock Serious Insurance, at Aqua CVille Hand Car Wash, Castle Hill Cider, the Gym CVille, and Forward Adelante. Thank you all, of course. We look forward to seeing you all next week. There's only a couple more weeks in December.
Yeah, it is.
So
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
week, and then I think our holiday
Our holiday
show,
special.
like our holiday
Holiday
special.
special.
But you'll have to tune in to see what that will be. It will involve Nickolas, so you may rest assured for that. It will involve Michael.
Yes.
So you can rest assured of that. It might involve it, Xavier, if we haven't decided
Maybe,
yet.
yeah.
Maybe. We'll see if we
We'll
feel
see
like
if I get
it.
voted in on that one.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out. But it will certainly involve you, the audience, which we really appreciate. Love being here on the I Love CVille Network set. Thank you, Judah, behind the camera, making all of us look good and making this whole thing work. We look forward to seeing you all next week. But until that time, as we say on the show, hasta mañana.